ISIL, however, is a formidable, resilient, and largely cohesive enemy. In the coming months, we can expect ISIL to probe the front lines of its adversaries on the battlefield for weaknesses, to harass the forces that are holding the cities it previously controlled, and to conduct terror attacks against its enemies inside Iraq and Syria. To compensate for territorial losses, ISIL will probably rely more on guerrilla tactics, including high-profile attacks outside the territory in Syria and Iraq that it currently holds.
Yeah, he did not paint a pretty picture. He did not coincide with Obama's assessment of how ISIS is being destroyed. It's on the run, blah, 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 blah. Joining us now is Carol Roth, CNBC contributor and author of the New York Times bestseller, The Entrepreneur Equation. She's also a judge on Mark Burnett's new technology competition show, America's Greatest Makers. Hello, Carol Roth.
Hi, Steve. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, I think. So, I don't even want to really readdress Obama's exploitation of the dead in Orlando I mean, he went on and on and on about guns and it just was so unseemly.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate that instead of blaming the perpetrator and figuring out how we're going to stop perpetrators, what he wants to do is blame inanimate objects and try to grab guns from law-abiding citizens. And I find the entire thing distasteful. You just played that clip from what Brennan said about ISIS or ISIL or whatever you want to call them, as long as you call them something, right?
Right.
And Obama said that they were the JV team, that they were contained, they were not a threat. And instead of actually addressing the threat here and abroad, all he's doing is trying to deflect to gun control. I'll put that in quotation marks, and it's just frankly utterly disgusting.
Right, and as John McCain said today, he holds Obama responsible for Orlando because of the policies starting with pulling out of Iraq, ignoring ISIS, letting them grow, making believe they were a JV team, and now we have what we have. I got one more before we get to the phone calls, folks, at 877 Newsmax 877-639-7629. There's the poll that is out from Bloomberg that has Hillary up 11, 12 points. If you're looking within that poll, it also asks who you would have most confidence in to handle terror going forward. And Trump leads by 5. And when they get specifically, who would you feel better about being in charge if there were another event like happened in Orlando? Trump has a 4-point lead. So despite the fact that he's unlikable more than her, that he's losing right now by double digits, etc., when it comes to national security, people still trust him more than her.
Yeah, I mean, you have to trust him more than her. I mean, she was Secretary of State. Her foreign policy was blame a YouTube video. Obviously, that's not particularly strong policy. And, the fact is that not just ISIS, but global terror has expanded under her watch. If you look at Boko Haram, the Taliban, Hezbollah, all of these groups, we're focused on ISIS today, but all of these together are a tremendous threat. So if you're Trump and you're looking at the polls, potentially looking to somebody who has that really strong either military background or foreign policy background, I think could be a really good counter to what's going on.
I would like Joni Ernst.
Interesting.
Joni Ernst, career military, a woman.
Yeah.
No nonsense, and I think she'd be great. Anyway, to the phones we go, and let's first go to Jonestown, Pennsylvania, and say hello to Mark. Hi, Mark.
Yeah, hi, Steve. Love your show.
Thank you, sir.
I was on the way home from work the other day, and I was listening to a speech Hillary was giving, and she said Hillary gave a speech the other day about we need to stop these foreign countries funding these terrorists. And she's taking the money. What a big hypocrite.
Well, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and Qatar are the 3 countries she mentioned. And according to the figures that I have seen and have in front of me, the Clinton Foundation has taken, Carol, over $40 million from these countries that Hillary specifically called out as supporters of terrorism.
Yeah, I mean, it's farcical at this point in time, and I think that Mark hit the nail on the head. But what we know about Hillary is that there are a bunch of different personalities, potentially more than Sybil had, and wherever she is talking to, she just basically goes in that particular direction. So this really shouldn't surprise anyone, and it's why nobody thinks she's trustworthy.
And Mark, you know, it goes beyond that. It's how they treat these countries that she took, that the Clinton Foundation has taken millions from. There's about 10 countries that kill, imprison, stone, punish gays, and the Clinton Foundation gladly takes their money. I mean, this is something Donald Trump is going to have to focus like a laser beam on, as Ari Fleischer said in the previous segment. Start fighting with her, concentrate on her, and concentrate on these issues.
And you know what, Steve, also the treatment of women. She's supposed to be the first woman to make history and a big advocate for women. But if you look in some of these countries, the way that they treat women, the fact that women can't drive, that they need to go out and have some sort of person accompanying them, the types of rights that they have and do not have, that is another place that we haven't really heard a lot about yet, but should be a huge focus because she's taking tons of money from those countries.
Absolutely. All right, Mark, appreciate it, sir. Thank you very much. Let's go to Taylor, Michigan, and say hello to our friend Trigger. Hi, Trigger.
Hey, Steve. How you doing?
Good, good. How are you today?
Good, good. Here you go, Steve. Here's how I feel is anybody on that watch list or no-fly list, if they have one, I think they should just be round up. And if they're not U.S. citizens, if we have to have them on a watch or no-fly list, we need to deport them out of our country. That's how I feel. And if they're on there and they are citizens, we need to find out why. And if they're preaching hate against the U.S., anybody preaching hate against the U.S. that's not a citizen should be out of this country.
Well, Trigger, you're absolutely right. And here's the deal. When the San Bernardino's shooter's wife came to this country, she had a social media track record and traceable record trashing the U.S., talking about jihad, all that. And the FBI and Homeland Security, they're not allowed to look at that. They're not allowed to use that as a criteria because that's bigotry against Muslims, don't you know? So this nonsense that someone could arbitrarily, there are on these lists, all these lists, Carol, there are well over 1 million people, okay? And how they got on the list, who put them there, nobody knows. And to say that because they're on this list, they can't buy guns. Like I say this often. I have a friend who doesn't even sound. He's not Muslim. He doesn't have a Muslim name. His name appeared on the no-fly list. So why shouldn't he be able to buy a gun?
Exactly. And first of all, I think I want to vote for Trigger for president, so I might be writing in his name. But you bring up a couple of good points. I think the first being that if you are not a citizen of this country and you are on all of these different lists,
get out.
The question is, why are you here?
Right.
Get them out. If you are a citizen, there should be due process, but they should be looking into seeing what the issue is with these people. And in terms of immigration in general, Steve, I think that this is not about a certain religion. This is about a set of values. And if you want to come here either temporarily or permanently, you should believe in the values of the United States. And if you don't, we should not be opening our home to these people.
Absolutely. Trigger, you've been nominated for president.
All right.
You have a good night, my friend. Let's go to Bob from Otis, Oregon. Hi, Bob.
Hello, Steve.
Hello, sir.
I've been watching programs a long time now. Here's my question. Why is Hillary giving arms and guns to Muslim Brotherhood?
Well, she's not in a position to do any of that right now, but when she was Secretary of State, of course, we know what she did with Libya, and there's a report out today, Carol, from an admiral who was involved in the whole Libya thing, because he was active at that time, who said that Hillary had a meeting with the Muslim Brotherhood head of Libya, if you will, and met with him and went ahead with the overthrow of Gaddafi, kind of plotted it along with him.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest challenge with Hillary Clinton that we have is that she's in it for Hillary Clinton, and the same thing with Bill.
Well, Carol, she may be in it for Sidney Blumenthal, too.
Well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Only if it benefits her. And so I think that this is their last chance. This is their last chance at the office. who knows what they're going to do? This is like the grand finale, the big hurrah. And, I'm completely frightened at the prospect of the deals that she could make to benefit herself and her husband, and maybe even Sydney. I don't know if he's in good graces that day, because this is potentially their last chance.
Yeah. All right, Bob?
Hey, thank you very much. Have a nice weekend.
Thank you, sir. You too. Well, Carol, I got to tell you, I know you're going to be watching the NBA Finals Game 6. I know you're rooting for LeBron and the Cavs for various reasons. I'm rooting for Golden State.
Game 7, Steve. Game 7. This is it.
This is not game. Is this Game 7?
I think
No,
it
it's game,
is,
no.
right?
It's Game 6, Carol.
Oh, it's Game 7.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, you
This
got carried away with LeBron. Anyway, we'll see who wins, and I always appreciate you coming on.
All right. Thanks, Steve.
Folks, up next, Roger Simon and more of your calls, and he's here in studio. Don't go away.